Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another lesson. This is in response to a comment, from Dominic Anderson. And I thought I would just go over Revelation 20 again, just to kind of pass the time. And, it doesn't hurt for me to look at it with a fresh set of eyes. I've done lessons on this in the past, but it's probably been like over a year now. So I'll read his comment and then I'll read Revelation 20 and then go through it. Maybe something new will come up that I didn't go over in the past. Dominic Anderson, he's writing this underneath my Revelation 22 video. I watched your last response to the guy talking about Satan being loose for a little season. This is in Revelation 20. My understanding is that after Christ's second coming, Jesus will reign on the earth for 1,000 years, and after the 1,000 years are expired, Satan will be let loose to deceive the nations, and when he does, the devil will be thrown into the lake of fire. Sorry, it's not funny. Where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Then after Christ's 1,000-year reign is the final judgment, where it says the sea, death, and hell gave up the dead and that was in them, and were judged according to their works, and death and hell were cast in the lake of fire, along with everyone who was not found in the book of life. That is the second death. After Christ's 1,000-year reign and the final judgment, eternity or the kingdom of heaven begins. Revelation 21, there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. So not sure where you're getting that, okay? And I'm not trying to make fun of you, but that doesn't make sense, at all. And so it doesn't make sense because you have to understand, this is why you have to understand certain principles of the Bible. And then once you have those, then the entire thing will make sense. First and foremost, this earth is hell, okay? The earth itself is hell, okay? The physical place, that it is, okay? And so that's one principle, okay? And a second principle is that when Christ returns to destroy everybody with the mark of the beast, that's described in Revelation 14 and really everywhere in the Bible in my sequence videos, when Christ returns with his elect, and then we'll cover that in Revelation 20, that destruction is body and soul, okay? That's in Matthew 10:28, okay? And so I just, because I believe that, you're a sincere person, don't get this messed up, and definitely don't go teach that. That's what I worry about the most. You can believe that if that comforts you or whatever, but don't go and propagate that, because then it's not good for you. It doesn't make a difference to me. Matthew 10:28, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Okay. That's right from Christ's mouth. Okay. And so a lot of people don't understand that when you interpret the Bible, the Bible says that Christ says that he comes in the volume of the book. So anything he says is the highest. Okay. That's what you rank. If you were to rank something, he's the highest. So when Christ says that, then that ranks above any other verse, which might contradict that or go against it or something like that, but none do. Okay. A lot of times there are verses that appear to be contradictory, but it's just that they have a hierarchy. One overrides the other. Okay. Line upon line, precept upon precept. And then sometimes they're contradictory only to people who don't have understanding. Okay. But, there'll be some times where we'll say, honor your mother and father. And other times we say, don't go along with what your parents, do if they're evil or whatever. And so it seems kind of contradictory or whatever. But that's when we need understanding and context. But, in that situation, Matthew 10:28, I would highly recommend putting that very, very high up on the totem pole. Okay. That's Christ himself. And so just know that. Okay. And I don't want you to find out about that when it's too late. Okay. So when something is destroyed by God here in hell, it's body and soul that are destroyed. Okay, and that verse actually debunks everything that you just said, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Okay, so for anybody out there, I have no issues with you bringing these kind of ideas or your thoughts, but you have to have something compelling that will go against the sequence of the end times that I presented, because there's hundreds of instances where that occurs, and this violates that. And so unless you can go and find whatever you're saying here everywhere in the Bible, then we have maybe a candidate for something that will usurp what I teach, but you're not going to do it. I'm not trying to say this to discourage you, but it's impossible at this point. That sequence is what the Bible teaches. So if that sequence doesn't happen, then the Bible is not true, because it undercuts the whole thing. Okay, and even the Apocrypha. And so I just need to find it once in all those books and all that kind of stuff, and you find it everywhere. Okay, so this is not consistent with that, and I'll explain why it's not. Okay, so just know, first and foremost, the Bible has to explain our current situation. Okay, ball Earth has been created, leading up to this age that we live in now. Okay, and so years in the past, everybody knew that the Earth was flat and stationary, and so there was a very, very deceptive time. People literally are just actors. Okay, and I want you to understand this, and we know this now. A majority of people on this earth are actors. Biden, all these people, pretty much everybody in the truth community, they're all just actors, and I know it. Okay, so if other people don't know it, it doesn't matter. As long as I know it and it's obviously true, then one person knows it. Okay, and I'm not the only one. But so they're all actors. Okay, and so that's God's left-hand side. Okay, they'll sit there and just like make up stories that the earth moves and, oh no, the sun is 93 million. Like, how evil do you have to be to just make that up out of nowhere? You have to be an actor programmed to just make up lies and then propagate them to your kids and all that kind of stuff. So that took time, and it says how much time. God gave it 1,000 years, okay, for that to happen. And that was the time where Satan was let loose, okay? And then so just know that, okay? And then there was a period of time after 1,000 years where that stopped, until this bottomless pit was open. And I'll explain what that also means in Revelation 20. And so just know that that's talking about everything that's happening here on earth. Okay. It's a lead up to the deceptive age that we live in now. And that deception is ultimately the foundation, setting the stage of this flat earth for God's elect to be on this earth. Okay. During this final age of deception, Revelation 12. Okay. So it's God setting the scene, He's changing all the light fixtures, messing up everything and saying, the sun is really far away, and all these people are just going along with it. The education system, financial system, all that, okay, was needed. He needed to get the stage ready, so to speak, for his elect, because that's going to be part of the deception. He's going to undo the deception, now. And so ultimately when they're sealed. And so that's that purpose, that's why that happened, okay? And so let's go through your sequence here. So, is that Christ's second coming will reign on the earth for 1,000 years. And after that 1,000 years, Satan will be let loose. How can Satan be let loose after Christ is here? We just ask Christ, what's going on? Okay. Like, why would there be a need for more deception afterwards? We'll be like, was he going to lie to us? Okay. He's going to tell us a lie. If we have 1,000 years with Christ here with us, and we ask him, like, what's going on? Okay. Like, what are we doing today? What's going on tomorrow? 1,000 years from now, there's going to be more deception and all that kind of stuff. Don't go down this road. Okay, that's stupid. Okay, no, that's ridiculous. If you're in the presence of God, why does he need to deceive people anymore? Because we know he's behind the deception. Okay, and so why he doesn't need to deceive anymore. Okay, and so just understand, when Christ returns and destroys, in all my sequence videos, that destruction is according to Matthew 10:28, body and soul. Okay. And Revelation 20 explains that. That's the purpose of Revelation 20, to explain that that's a permanent destruction. Okay. After that, after Revelation 20 is completed, there is no more of God's left-hand side. Okay. Which is, Job 12:16, the deceived and the deceiver are his. So God is done deceiving his elect. It's over now. We're with him now. Okay. If we're on his right-hand side. And so the deception is done. Okay. The pruning is complete. Okay. And then the deception and all the judgments and all that it's paid for now, okay? And then the kingdom of heaven will be established, where Christ will lead, and then King David will be the quote-unquote prime minister, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be the king, okay? And then he'll report to Christ, and then Christ reports to the Most High, and then the elect will report to King David, and then the mixed multitude reports to the elect, okay? That's the structure, and nobody else is on the earth, okay? During this time, the kingdom of heaven, it's only righteous people, okay? Christ says, unless your righteousness exceeds the scribes and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom. Okay. And so it's a people who have a minimum amount of righteousness. And then if your righteousness exceeds the scribes and the Pharisees, you have to understand the law. You have to understand the Bible. And then you have to be above that, not a hypocrite, not doing things for money, not trying to embarrass people. And you have to trust God. Okay. And worship Christ, obviously, fundamentally. So they didn't do that. And so they were always trying to trick him and trap him and like tell lies and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want you propagating more lies. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. So what you're saying here doesn't make sense. Okay. At all. Okay. I would prioritize the things that Jesus says. He's not kidding around. Okay. Give me a break. Why would he say that in Matthew 10:28? Okay. He's serious about that. Okay. When Christ destroys with his fire from heaven, with his elect and the angels, that's going to destroy both body and soul. Okay. And just know that. So let's read Revelation 20, and then, I'll explain how it fits in line with the sequence perfectly. Okay. And this is happening right now. Okay. in the times that we live in now. Revelation 20, and I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So after Satan has been running all this nonsense in the past, the angel's like, okay, time out, okay? Pause, okay, until I need you to do your final stuff, okay? And then God starts reinfusing his right-hand side onto the earth, slowly, okay? Because there was a time where it was just all actors, okay? Leading up to the time that we live in now, then God's like, okay, pause, okay? Now he's going to start putting a bit of his right-hand side back in, okay? And so he bound him for 1,000 years and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more until the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And that's the times that we live in now. And then we understand when that is ended, if you read Revelation 9, okay, 9/11. 9/11 was a very important wake-up call for a lot of people, because that's officially when the New World Order began. That's a ceremony that occurred, that CGI or whatever. And Revelation 9:11, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is, in the Hebrew tongue, is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. And so they had a king over them, one king. Revelation 9:11, that event was the beginning of the one world government, okay? And they all knew it, okay? There's not some people in Saudi Arabia or whatever, okay? That's a ceremony, okay? And so that's why the language here, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, is the exact same language that's being used here, okay? And cast him into the bottomless pit, okay? And then 9/11, he's being, released, from this bottomless pit, okay? And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, okay? And so that's the, quote, season that he's going to be loose for, beginning on 9/11, the event. So that is now the final deceptive age, that we're living in now. And then ultimately deception is going to be undone when the elect are sealed, okay, if you can receive that. So just know that. So that 1,000 years was in the past. And then in Revelation 20, verse 3, and then understand that's 23, 2, 3, 33. This is the time of that 33, okay, this one world, what Masonic order, or whatever you want to call it. And after that, he must be loosed a little season, okay? So this is where it says Satan hath but little time, okay? So between then and now, the deceptions are being undone, on YouTube, and God sealing his elect, okay? So we know that this is a one world government, and then this narrative also is a big part of that, okay? And so that's what it means by, and after that, he must be loosed a little season, okay? And so now after that 9/11 event, God's left-hand side the spirits are now free to enter into bodies, okay? And so just know that. Verse 4, and I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them which were beheaded. So now this is fast forwarding, okay, to the future. This is why you have to understand, the Bible can at times sometimes switch, time periods, okay? But then understand that this is fast forwarding. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus. And I believe these times are coming, in the next little while, like days, months kind of thing, that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads, in their mind, or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years, okay? And so this is the group that has gone through part of the Great Tribulation, okay? They had to give up their life, okay? This is not referring to the elect, which do not die, okay? And so they're not even tempted by this time period. So they were taken away prior to this. And so just know that. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection, okay? And now they're going to talk about the elect. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, okay? But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So that's God's elect, okay? And so until this 1,000 years were finished, then when God is now bringing his right-hand side slowly back onto the earth, after Satan is done his 1,000 year pause, basically, then, God slowly starts infusing his right-hand side back onto the earth, leading up to the times that we're living in now, okay? And then it says, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection, okay? And so now they're back on this earth now. And then the ones who are on earth at the end that do not die, that's God's elect, okay? It doesn't mean that God doesn't like the rest of the people, but they have to give up their life, okay? Like I read in verse 4, okay? That group, the sum of them, is God's right-hand side, okay? but just the ones that don't die are the elect, 144,000. And then they're in this time period after Revelation 9:11, because it's a deceptive age. It's the last bit of deception. And then the deception is being undone by Revelation 7, where they're sealed, by the angels, okay? And I believe that's already happened, okay? And if it happened on January 1st, then I'm one of them, okay? 2020. Verse 6. So I'll read verse 6 again. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. So they're not going to die, like the group in verse 4, okay? But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So when Christ is reigning on this earth, after he destroys his entire left-hand side, which we're going to read at the end of this, then they're going to be his priests. That's his temple, okay? When the Bible talks about a temple, these are the pillars in the temple of God. They're his elect, 144,000, okay? And they're going to reign with him 1,000 years, and they're going to see this earth being run in righteousness, okay? With Christ, King David, the elect, and then the mixed multitude, okay? Which are the group in Revelation 20, verse 4, okay? And so that's the group that came out and did not take the mark of the beast, and they're from all nations, okay? So just know that. They were the witnesses of Jesus. And so just know that, okay? So that's that. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, okay? And so now this is the part where it's confusing, because it seems like it's switching time periods. But now, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, is referring back to when he's being loosed a little season, like I read earlier in 20 verse 3, okay? And so after the 9/11 event, Satan is these spirits on God's left-hand side, they're out of their prison now, okay? It's like a release, okay? All that energy's out now, okay? And they're in bodies, and then they're able to accomplish what's written next in verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog, Magog, to gather them together for battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. This is what Ezra is talking about when the multitude gathered together to fight against God, okay? So that 9/11 event is a symbolic gesture that all the fighting that's happened in the past, the wars and rumors of war, they're no longer real beef between the nations. They're all preparing to fight against God in the battle of Armageddon with Christ and his elect and the angels, okay? They're all on the same team. All this fighting is not real, okay? They're all aligned on that, okay? So they still have a beef, really, even though they're all doing the same thing. That's insane if you believe that. So that's what's going on now, okay? And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, okay? This bottomless pit. He's out now, okay? And so just know that, okay? And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the, look at this, and the saints, okay? About in the beloved city. This is in the Middle East, okay? And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them, okay? So this is Christ returning with the saints, okay? To have this battle, this in the Middle East, Gog and Magog, okay? And so this is the battle of Armageddon, okay? Where all the souls are released out of this bottomless pit, and that's all of God's left-hand side. There's no more energy of God's left-hand side anywhere, and so they're all in bodies, okay? And they're allowed to go into the bodies as he assigns them, okay? But then Christ is destroying them here, and I want people to understand that's real fire, okay? That's written of here in verse 20 verse 9, and that's the body and soul can be destroyed according to Matthew 10:28. So they're deleted, okay? There's no more. Don't listen to these people. These end times teachers. These people are actors. Okay, trust what Christ says. Okay, and so that fire, whoever it devours, which is all of God's left hand side, they're all going to have the mark of the beast, and on the mark on their forehead or actually in their body, and then they're destroyed, body and soul. Okay, so Christ is cleaning up the whole earth. Okay, just know that. In verse 10, and the devil that deceived them, right here. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So it's a permanent destruction, okay? And that lake of fire is on earth. God is going to turn this whole earth into just a hot box, just burn everything, okay? Like he did to Sodom and Gomorrah, but now it's the entire earth, okay? So just know that. All this stuff is happening here on earth by these so-called UFOs, okay? And so this is the final destruction, okay? Just know that. And I saw a great white throne, and him sat on it. From those whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which are in it, and the death and hell were delivered up the dead which are in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. So what this is saying is that all these spirits on God's left-hand side are about to get their final judgment, okay? And it's all, again, happening here on earth. And so when it says, and the sea gave up the dead which are in it, means that there are souls that are active underwater, okay? And death and hell delivered up the dead which are in them. So death is the body. So all of God's left-hand sides, the spirits went up to the Most High, okay? And hell, all the souls that are out of the body went up to the Most High for his final judgment. He's like, okay, because again, Ecclesiastes 12:7, that once the soul leaves the body, it goes back to God for judgment. So he's now takes all the souls, judges them, and then sends them back to the earth. For verse 14, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, okay? And so all those souls on God's left-hand side are then put back into bodies, and then they're just destroyed, okay? And so the whole earth is going to be destroyed, okay? And that's in verse 14. That's with God's elect, okay, that this is happening. And verse 15, and whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So that's God's entire left-hand side, okay? So this is where the Hebrews and end times teach all these people, we know that they're just actors because they don't understand this, okay? God has blocked their mind, okay? Whosoever was not written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. And Matthew 10:28 says that that's body and soul. So they're destroyed. And so they're preaching a false gospel, okay? And they're going to be judged according to that. If they stay in that track, they're on God's left-hand side. And then those deceptions are done now. These souls are not going to be reconstructed or something silly like end time teacher would say. And then they're going to be in the kingdom, and then Satan will have more time after to do another 1,000 years or none of that. Okay. Trust what Christ says. Okay. Don't make up stuff, which you're doing right now. Don't do that. It's not going to profit you anything, and definitely don't go and teach whatever you just wrote on my comment board. Now it's in a public place. I would highly recommend you delete that. Okay. And so, because it doesn't make sense. It's inconsistent with the Bible. So it's antichrist. Okay, so don't do that kind of stuff. Revelation 20 is simple if you understand the sequence, because it follows the sequence perfectly, okay? Revelation 20 is exactly what I've been teaching in all those other hundreds of videos, okay? It shouldn't be a big shocker. And so the sequence of events is that we're in a deceptive time, okay? And it's being undone when the elect are sealed. And I believe if that was me, then it's January 1st, 2020. So the deceptions are done now. I know pretty much everybody's an actor except the other elect, okay? And so now the elect will be taken away. And then the Satan, who's now loosed, after this 9/11 event, Revelation 9/11, they're going to go after the remnant of the seed, okay? And they're not going to be friendly when you say, oh, no, I don't want to do that, okay? They're not going to be friendly because once the elect are taken away, the plagues, the wrath begins, okay? There's going to be sores and then the power outage and all that stuff, okay? And so God's just putting all of his left-hand side into the bodies, okay? Like I read here with these judgments, and this earth is going to be the most evil it's ever been because the elect are taken away, which are the truthers of all truthers that this world mocks and ridicules, and then God's right-hand side is going to be purged, okay? Because they're going to refuse this, okay? And then all you have is evil, okay? It's just all the actors and liars. And then so what do you do with those people? You burn them, okay? Like it says here and everywhere in the Bible. And so just know that, okay? It's actually very, very simple. It's scary, but we don't want any part of this lake of fire, okay? But it's actually very, very simple. And then all the verses that Christ talks about how your righteousness has to exceed the scribes of the Pharisees for you to enter the kingdom is true. It's literal, okay? That's God's entire right-hand side. These people who gave up their life, their righteousness is exceeding the scribes and the Pharisees, okay? And the elect, their righteousness exceeds the scribes and the Pharisees, okay? Because they're the elect, okay? And so they were arguing and fighting against the Pharisees in that time, and they're doing the same thing now, okay? And so everybody in the kingdom is going to be at least that righteous. And so there is no devil and Satan or anything like that, okay? Everybody is in alignment, okay? And they all worship Christ, okay? And the elect are going to make sure that everything's in order, okay? Because they're the government, okay? According to John 3:16, that's the world that's being spoken of primarily is the elect, and then the mixed multitude, okay? Which are these people that are described here who gave up their life. So everything fits, okay? So don't remix the Bible. This is friendly, but I just don't want you to go and propagate things and then you're going to get judged for it, okay? And so just be careful. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.